Big cities like Mumbai act as a magnet. So economic development is really crucial. No, it's the economic development which will give you the surpluses.
So, what is the climate budget has done is a set a baseline. It has you have a target which is the 30%. 10 to 30% of Mumbai's budget is devoted to climate resilience, climate mitigation, as well as taking new steps to provide more green urban spaces. The God lies in details. So I won't be able to share those God particles right now. And now you have to find the pathway and build the roadmap.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's well settled. And a lot of us got here in time despite that traffic. So congratulations to all of us. And it's such an interesting topic, and we have great guests on the panel with us today. And what is more important than a city having its own budget, right? And we are lucky that a city like Mumbai has its own climate budget, the fourth city in the world and the first in the country as well. So it's such a pleasure to have all you gentlemen with us on the panel today. And since we're talking about Mumbai, I have to come to first Mr. Gagrani. When we talk about center, we talk about states. It's not macro budget. We talk about clean energy. We talk about macro stuff that would impact everyone. But the real change, the critical role and impact of sub-national policy, that is something that would impact people at large, because every city has its own problems. With the climate budget, one of the major areas that EMC is focusing on, we've spoken about water conservation, we've spoken about urban flooding as well. It's already happened. How do you plan to change that now with this site?
Thank you. Namaste to all of you. First of all, my compliments to Godrej for this initiative of Conscious Collective. This, I suppose, a larger thematic and philosophical framework in which the entire climate and environment related things should play within that framework. Now coming back directly to a question, Sonal. We in BMC are not theorists or theoretical people, we are practitioners. So normally we take help of the experts in this field. So way back during COVID times, we started preparation on Mumbai Climate Action Plan, NCAP. Now that plan is being discussed with the stakeholders, it is open to the public, that amidst sectors. There's hardly any sector which is touching our lives is left out of this NCAP. Now, since we have the plan, we need to execute that plan or articulate that plan through some instrument, and that instrument is called climate budgeting. So it's an instrument, governance administrative instrument, by which we are trying to articulate the exact nature of Mumbai Climate Action Plan. And I'm glad to share with you that it is the first Asian city which has come out with the climate budgeting. Now, climate budgeting needs, as I said, to articulate into the number crunching as well. Broadly, we say that about 30 to 30% of Mumbai's budget is devoted to climate resilience, climate mitigation, as well as taking new steps to provide more green urban spaces. The God lies in details. So I won't be able to share those God particles right now. However, the climate budgeting is available. The budget is available on our website and in the public domain. I take this opportunity just to share that our concentration areas is one is urban mobility. Second is, as I said, green and open spaces. Third, of course, related to water and sanitation. These are few verticals on which our entire climate budget is based on. Thank you.
Okay, that's very interesting. A couple of things that I said, 23% of the budget is that relevant greenery, and of course, Godrej is known for that. We are in Victoria, big, huge land parcel, and that's the biggest green carbon I think the city has as well. Mr. Godrej, you don't adopt that, so it's just not worth the Godrej term. You are deeply interested in sustainability. Or when you talk about Mumbai as a city, what do you think, or we could talk more, what needs immediate attention on a micro level? What, as a corporate, you would like to collaborate with on this?
Thank you. Well, let me say first of all that the climate change and climate change mitigation and adaptation are very complex subjects. I think that if the world had easy solutions, we would actually be well on our way to it now. But I think that the awareness of the issue is very apparent. I think the very fact that India has been named consistently, by the World Health Organization and others as being amongst the most polluted countries in the world, is an indication of the challenge of this problem. I think that climate change is such a complex systemic problem that it needs everybody, especially the political establishment, those who have to, carry out what administrative actions like Mr. Gagrani does, the citizens of the country. Everybody has a role to play. And I think large cities like Mumbai are, very complex to deal with because of the large population. But I think you have to take a holistic view, a sort of a overarching view of all the different pillars that are required to it. And that's what this Mumbai Action Lab is all about. It's about, it's about transport, it's about land use, it's about, how we manage air pollution. So many things are involved. It's a very complex matter. And I think that, all of us, I think, are very keen actually to support whatever we can. Because eventually, I think, for health purposes, the way that we see not just Delhi, but the entire northern belt, it affects children, it affects old people, it affects everyone. Even though WHO has said that the limit is 5 micrograms, for India, we've already made it into 50 micrograms. But despite that, there are hardly any parts of India, which even meet the 50 micrograms. So we have a huge challenge in front of us. And I hope that, it's organizations and meetings like this that help in understanding what are the different ways we can actually make a difference. I think Mr. Gagrani knows very well that, the informal housing in Mumbai has been such a big challenge. And for the last, I don't know how many, 20, 30, 40 years, we have not been able to come up with good solutions that can actually change the city's scenario or house. But big cities like Mumbai act as a magnet. So economic development is really crucial. It's the economic development which will give you the surpluses that allow you to do all the actions that you need to do. And I believe very strongly that, it's very important for citizen action groups actually to be well informed and, work together with the government, municipal corporation, others in many of these areas. Because it's not possible for government to work on the BMC alone to actually tackle some of these. So I'm very pleased that I'm a part of a number of organizations that have been working in this area for a long time, and there are solutions, but it needs everyone to come together for these actions to take place.
It's all about collaboration. We can't have competition here. But interesting things that you said, one is housing and one is the other is economic development, because so far the AKI issue, people have been saying how there's been a lot of construction, but we need that to ensure there is economic development. So it's the balancing act that the administration has to take up as well. Mr. Pai, let me come to you. We've had a long conversation on this, if you remember, and you brought out a lot of points. WRF has been a knowledge partner as well with the BMC, a lot of central government projects. According to you, let's start with the basics. What are the most important things that the city budget can focus on, and how important that is in order to ensure ground level change that we need to bring about?
It is Mr. Gagrani talked about the climate budget being governance too. Right? So I'll just give you a simple example. See, Mumbai today, stormwater infrastructure can handle about 100 mm of rain, 110 mm of statements. Another 100 mm we manage with early warning systems and all that. Towards this, very few cities in the world can manage a 200 mm rain day. Mumbai can. But we are getting rain days that are bigger than that. So now, we say that we need a nature-assisted flood management system. It will also help with heating in the city. It will help create public spaces in the city. So the budget, when the climate budget was done by BMC, I think it's a very, very cutting-edge exercise. They saw that the gardens department budget was 30 crores. This is 2 years ago. And the stormwater department's budget was 3,000 crores. That's like, so if you look at the ratio, now if you're saying you want a 30% nature-assisted flood management system, then the budget should be 30%. So, what the climate budget has done is a set a baseline. You have a target, which is the 30%. Now you have to find the pathway and build the roadmap. So this is a very systematic way in which now we can move towards these actions that are being laid out. And it's already actions that the BMC changed their gardens department to the greening department. So now it's just on principle. It's done a greening policy. It's launched the greening guidebook. Now it's talking about doing aquifer mapping. So there's all of these steps that now it is trying to go to make it a nature assisted. And of course, heat is becoming a growing issue in all of the cities. So, one was just to give you an example of, just how having this kind of budget, it's a governance tool, not actually a budget tool. So that's okay.
We do take that point. Greenery, I think we can do with a lot of green in the city, definitely. The other thing that you mentioned was urban mobility, last mile connected thing. We're discussing in off stage as well that, this is something that the city needs, but again, it comes down to the citizens, whether they use public transport or not. In the BNC's plan, how soon do you want to address that issue of urban mobility? Because it's hit the along plan. You need to divide that plan over time, right? So urban mobility is a plan. And how do we ensure last mile connectivity in the city, which is so huge, has so many people coming into the city, because that needs to ensure that we have lesser private transport in the middle.
Urban mobility will remain a very challenging factor in city of Mumbai. Frankly, we were totally dependent on the network of central, western and urban railways, as well as the last mile connectivity by best buses. Now, MMRDA, MMRCL, Silco, they are laying down the tracks for metro. I will here repeat my favorite example, which some of you might have already heard. The first metro in the world started its construction when India was fighting the First World War of Independence. 1857. Hamilton, London. Cut to now London has 410 kilometers of total network, and we started in 2014 and we will be having 410 kilometers of total network of metro lanes. So the breakneck speed at which we are trying to catch up with urban mobility is astounding. And why doing so? We are facing a lot of logistical issues, operational issues, environmental issues. Broadly, people of Mumbai, they are cooperating in all these projects. There is a lot of traffic diversions. There is a lot of dust, PM10 particles. However, despite all these network getting completed within next 2 years, connecting these all metro stations and railway stations to the last mile by providing the bus service is still going to remain challenging. Best, though it's autonomous, technically part of PLC, need to augment its speed in a huge scale. They are having their own institutional issues and problems. We hope that we'll be able to address those issues. But BEST has introduced a lot of e-buses recently, you might have seen. We have made mandatory to all public parking covered places to have charging stations for all sorts of e-vehicles, including e-buses. This is a transition time, and it may take a bit of time to address all those issues, but I think urban mobility in next 2 years, which will be hugely improved in Mumbai, which we have started witnessing now.
That's music to everyone's ears, right? That is what they wait for, because public transport definitely is something that keeps the city going as well. So in that case, Mr. Godrej, we were speaking about how we took a lot of time to get here today because of a lot of traffic issues. But when we talk about collaboration of industry with the administration, and we talk about things that are challenging, as Mr. Gagrani was very candid and said there would be some challenges. From the industry's elements, what are some of the challenges that you see would impact the collaboration process when we're there?
You mean in general, not just with cars?
In general, of course.
So, well, I have always said that industry is part of the problem, but industry can also be part of the solution. And I think if you look at the way that industry, especially large industry, has acted on climate issues, I think they've done a lot on energy conservation. Not only has the government mandated certain energy requirements for the highly sort of polluting or highly energy consuming industries like steel, cement, fertilizer, etc., but also voluntary action from those who are not is a mandatory requirement. There's been a big change. I mean, in our own company, over a 10-year period, look at the last 10 years, we have doubled our energy intensity. I mean, when I say double, I mean we've actually halved our energy intensity of electricity that we need for our production. So if everybody takes on rather aspirational and challenging goals, I think you find ways to do it. The other thing is that I'll give you the example of the cement industry, because I know this well because the Confederation of Indian Industry has worked with the cement industry from the last 20 years. It's not well known, but our cement industry in India today, because of this interaction and because of them working closely with each other, actually, they have become the most energy efficient cement industry in the world. And today, the CII councillors who have worked in this for the last so many years They are actually being called to Switzerland, to Japan, to Korea, to help them to improve their cement industry. Because we have all learned a lot by collaborating. Now, you would not think that our cement industry is energy efficient, but that's actually a fact. And it's well established by the cement industry globally. So there are many things that you can do if you work together. I think an important part for industry is not just being ambitious, but also sharing. I think it's very important because I may learn to do things in a particular way. You may learn to do it in another way. If we share it, we can all do much better. And this is been a very good development, say with cement industry. And we're trying to replicate this in every major industry, QCI. So there's a lot of options. Plus, from a global perspective, there's a science-based target program. There's something called EP1MD. All these global programs, which are all part of UN sort of interventions, and they have really helped to make industry understand where it is, what it can do, and how quickly it can get there. And I would say that in my experience, the top 1,000 companies in India, have done a lot. Our biggest challenge is going to come with the small and medium-sized industry. And these organizations, actually, most of them are suppliers to larger companies. So the responsibility has to come with the larger company to manage its supply chain. So what is the industry interested in its supply chain? It wants timely deliveries. It wants to make sure the quality is right. It has to also make sure that the energy that is used in these organizations, which are their suppliers, are according to the requirement. So CII introduced something called Green Company Rating. And we've also worked not just with the large companies, but through the large companies that are supply chain. So our ambition is that already there are 5,000 companies in India that had worked under rating system. Now the rating system is a very good system because you can start at a very low level and keep improving all the time. Similarly, we plan something for products. So we have a big product rating system. So for instance, in the building industry, now there are over 10,000 products that are rated by CII as green products. And CII has actually promoted green benefits. So we currently have 13 billion square feet of green buildings, rated green buildings in India. The USA has 14 billion. So we are quite sure that within a couple of years, we will be the number one in the world in terms of square foot on green buildings. Now, all this is very important because it gives us an example for what industry can do. But as you rightly said, Mr. Gagrani, construction has its own issues about its economic development. But of course, we have to manage it correctly so it doesn't get out of hand. And when you have these type of ambitious, things like building a metro system with less than 20 years, that's a big, humongous problem that has to be handled. But it requires cooperation of everybody.
It does. The problem is we are a very dense city as well. The population has its own issues. So in that case, how do you balance? I think that's the big question everyone has. How do you balance economic development? How do you balance sustainability policies? Because they sometimes tend to go against each other, right? So this is a question for all of you actually. This is something that everyone wants to know. We want cleanliness, but we want public transport at the same time. We need more people to come to the city to ensure there is more participation in the labor force, but sometimes you can't handle it. And this goes against the core principles of sustainability at times. So, Pai, let me start with you and the same question to the two of you.
I'll come back to the last one connectivity question. See, I think Mumbai, we know that more than 50% people walk, right? 80% of the people who take public transport walk to public transport. So I think the focus on improving footpaths, I think, is extremely important. And I totally believe that actually walking really is it's easy to go, but it requires a lot of detail. The design has to be right at every meter, literally every meter of steel. And there are great examples that PMC itself has done across the city. I think how do we replicate across the city becomes extremely important. The second point of opinion, even if you look at the island city, actually from coast to coast it is 4 kilometers, some places 6 kilometers. Actually, some New York style walkway where you can walk across the city. I think there's a lot of possibilities for really improving walkability. It will not cost very much. It will really complement the whole investment that's being made in the metro. And I think that the only challenge I think with that is also, which is the difficult part. The easy part is the parking, right? So we have so much on-street parking. And I think the successful cities globally that have managed to make walking, they have taken away on-street parking. And all of us in this room will oppose that. Right? And I think this is where I think the parking and the walking is the fight that is politically also very hard, right? And so it can only be done if there is citizen support to do it. But we can't want walking and also want parking. It's not possible. So that's it.
You're saying parking should be expensive in the cities so that people don't do it. And I remember that conversation, and that had such mixed reviews because people were like, "There's no place to walk. How do we do things?" Well, so
but thank you. This question was crossed to Madhav and not to me. Because I rate, whenever there is a talk about walkability, I rate that question coming to me. And my reaction is, like any assembly of parliament, I should walk out. Or, as far as the question is concerned, give me walk over.
okay, so the thing is, I think everyone loves to walk. There was too many. There was an applause with Mr. Pai in that point. So I think this is something that is part of the clan and budget as well, I believe. Or are you going to walk on your question?
No, it's a plan that easier said than done. At few places, we are trying to rejuvenate and create that facility or at few places also. But the issues and problems all of us know. Any civic community is a mutual relationship between the governance, not government, governance and the society. So as long as that civic community is not respected and regulated and to a certain extent compensated, I don't think it will work anywhere. So that the respect for civil abilities from citizens side also equally wanted. Not that I am defending, because as a citizen, I also feel that we don't have the world class, forget about world class, even the average walkability in our city. I also feel as a citizen of Mumbai, and let me be very candid with you, that the footpath or road condition is very, very average in Mumbai. We need to improve that thing. But having said that, as I said, it is not only the engineering or investment. As far as the civic communities are concerned, I repeat, it's a mutual. It has to be equally reciprocated by the civic society and citizens.
Oh, that point is totally taken. We can't take the facilities we get for granted. It is important to ensure that they are the best quality, the way they are provided to us. Mr. Godrej, you mentioned that in CI you have rating system for green products, for services, the way the activities happen. Do you think the budget should also account for some negative reinforcement in case we do not follow those standard policies for the stakeholders as well? That includes the civic community, which is using those public services in some case, because we do see the biggest fear is if something new comes up, what will the public do to it? We've seen that as well happening. Should it happen for the industry and the society in general?
Right.
I think CI is not the only one working in this area. There are hundreds of organizations and NGOs and others, and I mean, if you look at just this issue of walking, you know that Paris converted the city into a walking city. And there is this concept of a 15-minute city. It's not literally 15 minutes, but the concept is that you have kind of these multi-hubs all over the place. So these multi-hubs all over the city allow people to be in that area in such a way that they can walk to work and walk to entertainment, shopping, etc. So I think in Mumbai, because we have this north-south axis, and right from the beginning, long before all of us came into the picture, South Mumbai was for business and commerce, and the western suburbs basically were the residential areas. Now all that has changed, and we have multi-homes. But we probably need many, many more such hubs. I think the idea of a hub really goes that not only can you connect all these hubs conveniently, either with a metro or a bus system, etc., but you can also then create this, this ecosystem of walking in that hub. And I think all business organizations, I think once they start understanding the benefits of this multi-hubs, I think you will see that the growth at the city will be much more balanced. But today, otherwise, this constant need for transit, between north and south, and Mumbai get enough of the east-west transits, So of course it's happening now, but I think we will need as much or more of constant east-west connections as we need north-south. So the balanced growth of the city has to take place, where you can't have this concentration, because that's when all the facilities, right, whether it's water supply, it's sewage, energy, they get concentrated to such an extent that it becomes almost unmanageable.
Yeah, that's right. So, Mr. Pai, then just taking this point forward, since we are talking about the band's connectivity, east-west connectivity coming up, should come up in a major way. Do you think a lot of finance would be aided in that? Because climate finance continues to be the big talking point. We keep talking at macro level, we keep talking at micro level. But when it comes to municipal corporations doing it, it hasn't been a big part so far. How does it go beyond the macro chatter when it comes to financing these big changes?
Financing is a challenge outside Mumbai. That way is not at this challenge with financing. The other thing is, I think the big infrastructure investments we have been able to do, right? So being able to build 400 kilometers of metro. I don't think the big, I must see in Indian city, what you have to understand, Indian cities are, by design, we've never built very good road networks like grids. Land parcels were never available in big sizes. It's not just Mumbai, most cities in cities. And then, once you get to a point where so Mumbai sort of got congested almost in 2004, 2005. And that's when we also started seeing a lot of companies go to Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. I feel like last 20 years we have been able to solve no problems with transport and housing. And we've been able to solve the transport problem hopefully as these lines come on board very quickly. The housing problem also to a large extent through these redevelopment programs, etc. Housing also is coming on board fairly rapidly. So I think these next 10 years, Mumbai really has to focus on actually doing and the small design things well. How do we get all the streets to be good walking? How do we create public spaces? How do we go the green? Actually, so it's the now next challenge is doing these well-designed small things across the city at scale is really both the challenge and the opportunity. If we do that, to do two things. It will going back to your first point, I think one of the biggest things as a city for economic development we need to do now is attract talent. Right? So if we build a city that's walkable, that's as public space, that's what actually will attract the talent. So I think we have done the harder stuff, I think money-wise. Now we have to do the harder stuff design-wise, which requires a lot of process and collaboration. So I think that's really the opportunity. I think, and I think that in a way the climate action plan And the other plans that Wednesday has actually laid out the roadmap for it. I think now how you work on really implementing it is the challenge and the opportunity.
Mr. Gagrani has been very candid as well. You actually said that these are certain things we need to change in the city. And that's, of course, the first big step that we need to take to ensure it's a climate resilient city. The same question that I asked Mr. Godrej, I would like to ask you, do you think sometimes negative reinforcement would work to ensure there is balance between the society, the governance, and those who are governed right now, to ensure that policy framework is in place? I was just reading an article today. There's a possibility that people would have to pay for all the waste that they generate or the waste that is collected from their household. It's not a policy yet. But do you think things like this would change behavior? Because we need on-ground behavioral change as well from the citizens.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
Yes, on it.
the climate or environment related
What the
budget making or,
hardly. Yep.
as I said, climate action plan or clean air, national clean air plan, all these plan makings are of course necessary but not sufficient conditions. What we need is sensitization of the people who are implementing these budgets, sensitization of taking this to the last person of the society, possibly to the stakeholders.
But
When I represent you as a commissioner of BMC, so I am representing BMC. What is within BMC is my issue, but that is also a very complicated thing. Having the organization of 150,000 people, so sensitizing these people itself is a full-time job towards environment, towards creating the consciousness, collective consciousness about environment. So that requires lot of efforts, and only regulation. Of course, regulation does help, no doubt, and it is required also. But more than that, the orientation, creating confidence, sensitizing them, it's a long-term solution. It takes a long time, but it is a sustainable solution. So we have wanted agencies, we are taking help of NGOs, stakeholders, quite a few people are there. And Godrej is one of the CSR partner with us for doing so many things. There are the Kunti ji sitting there. She is also one of our one-man army for doing this kind of things on the ground level. So there are quite a few people who are the part of what I call as a change agents. So I think it is not, climate is not a single man's baby. It has to be tackled, it has to be as a societal collective challenge. We are investing, we are facilitating by way of regulation. However, the solutions will emerge collective.
No, absolutely. All should be changed because everyone who's here, and that's the point, not just people who are here, everyone in the city as well. That is what I think Conscious Collective also aims to achieve, right? That we need bring in more people to understand how important this issue is. I will come back to you on the other very important aspect that the budget has, that's on carbon pricing. How would that work? Is that a part of the budget overall? Because industries would be the ones who would be emitting a lot. Is there some collaboration happening there as well? Carbon pricing, carbon pricing.
Well, it's a very niche sector for government. I think few of the corporate sectors are already working on that thing. I'm not sure how far they have reached ahead. But in the government sector, the carbon credit or carbon pricing is a very, very niche thing. We are still not have the full grip of that issue.
All right.
I'm talking about entire government, not only BMC.
Yes, of course. I thought if that starts at a smaller stage, and that could also solve along.
No, the government have recently come out with rules on carbon trading. I think that will be very useful. I think the important point is that what is the economic value for industry, to decarbonize? I think this is a very important point that we have concerned. Because you see there's global restrictions coming all over the world. The European Union has already announced a carbon border tax, and basically they are saying that in India, if you make steel, which does not decarbonize adequately, then they will have to pay a tax on the employer. You see? So this issue of decarbonization actually has become a very big global issue. And I think, of course, with politics around the world being different, will have different levels of this happening. But everybody will get affected. And we should, wholeheartedly engaged in decarbonization, because it can not only is it good for business, but it's good from a global economy point of view in which we all have to participate. So I think it's very good that we are going more and more on decarbonization.
Okay. So, just generally from an industry perspective, do you think the budget should also have provision for some incentives, for some subsidies to ensure that this ground level decarbonization happens at a faster pace? Because we do have a big industrial area. We go to Taloja, we go around Patalganga. There's a lot of industries here near Mumbai.
So I think the important thing is that there is going to be a lot of investment required with industry on decarbonization. Because you can't just wish it away, it starts from the ground up with the processes that you employ, etc. And I think that once the solutions are easy to understand, for instance, you could do green steel, it's not clear as to what is the best path forward. You see? And is it hydrogen? Is it something else? In fact, there are many steel factories around the world that are saying the best way to decarbonize is use nuclear power. You see? So, I mean, there are many ways to get to, say, green steel. You see? So it's not such an easy. There's a lot of technical issues involved in this. But I think if you are ambitious about it, I think industry and government and think tanks and all working together will find solutions.
For any typical metro, all the manufacturing industry slowly moves out of the city. Same thing happened for Mumbai also. All the major industry, manufacturing industry, so to say, has moved slowly out of Mumbai. And it has to happen. So, textile industry, small scale industry. So now there are clusters in and around Mumbai. Whether it's a Tarapur, Ambarnath, Kalyan, Taloja, Patalganga, all these clusters are manufacturing clusters. I would say most of the manufacturing clusters, whether they are chemical, even the red category industry, they are largely compliant industries. Whether it's the effluent treatment, whether it's a Patalganga used to be a major pollution industry, Taloja used to be, but now they are compliant because they also have to survive in this situation. So now the total greenhouse emission in Mumbai has remained particularly vehicular, construction related. So industry is not contributing hugely into the greenhouse emissions of Mumbai, which is about 25 million tons. So it is basically because of the human activities and vehicular traffic.
So we can do our bit. Of course, it's vehicular traffic and humans causing that. But the other thing, of course, is the AQI bit, which has become a big problem of late. So, Mr. Pai, since we don't have a lot of time, I would like all of your closing comments as well. But AQI especially, what can be immediately done to ensure it doesn't happen again? Because Mumbai never saw it. I think we didn't know. We would make fun of Delhi, but now it's on us.
So it will immediately not go away. I think that is first thing, we need a 10-year plan and we need to work towards it. I think that is the first thing that everybody has to accept that is systematically. Because if you do knee-jerk reactions, you will only solve things temporarily and we will resort to tactics which are using like spraying and other techniques which will only solve it. So for something like air pollution, clearly set up the 10-year plan to consistently work towards it is the only way to do it. I mean, there are things like, because of climate change, etc., they're saying wind speeds have come down, so, pollution doesn't clear. It usually happens in these months of October, November, December, when there's a low pressure. So there's a lot of meteorological conditions. So, but at the same time, whatever is the pollution that happens within the city, right? And then it's vehicle production, construction, there's a lot of small sources like bakeries and crematoriums, things that MC is also very actively work. But you have to actually go source by source and put in place ways in which you can. So, you electrify the bakeries, you can eliminate any other sort of open cooking sources, because that's what puts out the aerosols, which is what causes the secondary part. So I think to deal with air pollution, you have to just have a systematic plan that you can follow through for 10 years and you will clean the air, right? So that's the challenge of the.
So complex work before we ever see stuff. Yeah.
I just see one thing here. Because of climate change and global warming, what was happening is the differential temperature between land and the sea has come down. Okay, this differential was what is driving the strong winds. And because the differential having come down, the winds now in Mumbai, if you actually map it over the last 10 to 15 years, the average has come down. So that also contributes to taking away qualities. So there are many factors involved in climate change, and we have to understand the bigger issues and look at it holistically.
It's a lot of science that I think when people just look at the problem at that time, not what is really causing it so much. I know closing comments, Mr. Gagrani.
No, as far as air quality index is concerned, I think we have this somebody. It has available on everybody's mobile now. That is why we are becoming more conscious. And everything, when it is deconstructed into quantifiable thing, then everybody can monitor, which is a good thing. So what is the AQI at 10 o'clock, what is the 12 o'clock, everything is available now. So you can't hide. This AQI are calculated by various monitoring stations created by various departments, including MPCB as well as municipal corporations. As Jamshyd has already pointed out, this is a weather phenomenon. The climatic difference between water and air, and particularly this season, because the density of air comes down drastically and the condensation starts happening. It is inversely proportionately related with the temperature. That's one of the reasons. Having said that, major contributors to the air pollution in Mumbai, again, I repeat, is the vehicular and the construction. PM10 is the main thing. The construction particles. Mumbai is undergoing a huge redevelopment, public sector as well as private sector. So we will have to live with redevelopment, but not necessarily with air pollution. That is why all these redevelopment activities, construction activities needs to be regulated in the proper care of watering, fences, green fences. If proper care is taken, and PLC is now going all out to regulate this thing, we are giving stop on notices wherever they are not abiding by these kind of things. So if we can regulate the construction activity in a proper manner and to certain extent vehicular, then I think our AQI will remain in a much better and manageable situation.
More power to BFC, more power to the two of you as well for working towards this. She had a lot more questions. Such interesting conversation. I think we're out of time. And for all of us, let's be a part of the solution and not pollution. That's what we can do, right? So thank you so much for being such an amazing audience as well. And thank you to your for being a part of this time. Thanks, sir.